Deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
We got Charlie and the We got Charlie and the
There are hundreds, thousands, maybe more examples like this. But we've seen teachers, we've seen hospital executives, we've seen people who want to run places like the Oxford University Union, for example, and so on, all coming out with similar gleeful celebration at the murder of a 31-year-old father of 2 young children. I find it utterly despicable, but also quite terrifying, actually, that they're so brazenly doing this. What is your reaction to that?
Well, Piers, my reaction is that I think it's reprehensible. And I think it is part of a much wider pattern of behavior driven by partly social media, but in particular the hyperpolarization of American politics, which is part of a big trend of legitimizing violence, of making violence an acceptable means of prosecuting your politics. Where I would disagree, possibly with you, possibly with other members of the panel, is that this is somehow just confined to the left, or the idea that this is just happening on the left. Yes, there have been examples of that. We've just seen it just now. I was disgusted at the reaction to what happened with Luigi Manzioni earlier in the year. Very similar sort of phenomenon.
Yeah.
But let's see where it's happened in other parts of the right. Do you remember what happened with Paul Pelosi, for example? Nancy Pelosi's husband almost killed to death. What was the reaction of not just some random left-wing accounts, not some teacher, not whatever, but Don Jr., Donald Trump Jr. He decided to put out a picture of a hammer and some underpants and say, I've got my Paul Pelosi Halloween costume tonight. This is the wider legitimization of violence that we're seeing. And let's just have a look. I mean, let's talk about some accounts that I've been looking at. You've been horrified what you've seen on Twitter, some stuff I've seen on Blue Sky, some stuff I've seen on X over the course of the last 24 hours. Liberals can never be allowed to run this country again. How can you coexist with people that want to murder you? If you vote Democrat at this point, you're a demonic, evil person. I will support whatever saves our country. Trump has a blank check as far as I'm concerned. I could go on.
What's so bad about that? I mean, that's a correct take right there. If you vote for these Democrats, people who want to kill you, then you are an evil person. And the people that are still voting Democrats, especially after this, who are still supporting Democrats, clearly are some kind of evil people. These are the people celebrating her deaths. I don't see what's wrong with that. And they always go to the Paul Pelosi thing. In general, right-wingers weren't celebrating Paul Pelosi. I've seen a lot of right-wingers wishing him the best and recovery and stuff like that. No one was sitting here saying, oh, that's good. I'm glad Paul Pelosi got attacked. No one was celebrating that at all. If anything, we were making jokes because it was kind of a weird situation. Like, it was such a weird situation. And, it was so weird. And then there's a lot of conspiracy theories going out that there was like a lover's quarrel gone wrong or something, a lover's tryst gone wrong or something. I don't know. There is a lot of conspiracy theories and a lot of jokes to be made there. But overall, people weren't sitting here celebrating Paul Pelosi getting hurt. No one was wishing for him to die. Not nearly as much of vile rhetoric coming from our side about Paul Pelosi as there have been coming out about Charlie Kirk from the left.
And I could go on. And I could give a list of all of the many occasions we've seen in recent years of right-wing, hard right, far-right terrorism that we saw against what happened in Minnesota. I mentioned Paul Pelosi, Josh Shapiro. In fact, I disagree with just as a matter of fact. Investigators found in the Shapiro case online activity and writings that included extreme right-wing, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and rhetoric against Shapiro, who is, of course, Jewish and a Democrat, and in Michigan. And even in the last 24 hours or so, what do we see from Laura Loomer on Ilhan Omar, the Democratic Congresswoman, Laura Loomer being a very senior MAGA person? At the end of the day, everyone needs to realize that Ilhan Omar is a bloodthirsty Muslim terrorist sympathizer who has no place in our country.
Yeah,
her presence in Congress is a national security threat, and she's an enemy from within. So please, the idea that...
So, okay, again, how is that harmful rhetoric? Like, how is that going to get Ilhan Omar killed, though? All those things are true. Like, we're just saying kind of true things. She is a Muslim sympathizer. She really doesn't like this country. She also said vile things about Charlie Kirk. I'm done with her as well. I would like for her to lose her job in Congress. And yeah, they want to put that thing in where they want to stop people who weren't actually born here from running in Congress. And I'm all for it. Because if it keeps the Ilhan Omars out of office, then I'm all for it.
There is some sort of asymmetry on this. The fact of the matter is, America and indeed the UK as well, we've got into a really negative cycle here where basically the temperature goes up and it goes up and it goes up. And then sometimes some of the people who are responsible for that turn around and go, God, I can't believe it's so hot in here. Everyone needs to pull back from the brink. Social media needs to actually be reformed and needs to be changed. Elon Musk has been pretty responsible for some of this stuff that we've seen as well. So let's not pretend. If we pretend that this is just a problem of the left or of liberalism or of wokeism or whatever you want to say, this problem is not going to be any better or get any better. Let's use this as a moment for all of us to look within ourselves and decide to be better.
Okay, well, we've been joined on the panel by...
So again, it's more like, well, let's look at all the right stuff, and then we all need to join together. Like, no, like you guys, again, like here's like the small list of things that right wingers have done, and then there's a huge list of things the left have done. We are not the same. We are not equal. It's not both sides. It's clearly one side, and there's plenty of evidence to showcase why that's the truth.
By PBD podcast, Angry Patriot, Vincent Oshana. Vinny, great to have you back on Uncensored. I'm sorry it's in such awful circumstances that we're talking on this Friday. But your response to what Lewis Goodall's just said, that this is a problem on all sides, that political violence has been ratcheting up and that there's a collective issue that needs to be dealt with.
Well, Piers, thank you for having me, and hello to everybody on the panel. Piers, I'm sorry, but trying to compare a photo of a Pelosi hammer for a Halloween thing to somebody getting shot in the neck in front of his family at a campus is unbelievable. The fact that you're trying to make the two comparison is absurd, okay? And if we want to, since you're on the left and you have those beliefs, give me something that the left is positive about. Because from what we're seeing, they're pro-abortion, they're pro-celebrating assassination, they're pro-open border. Give me something positive that the left is running on. Because at the end of the day, they're at the Democrats' 35-year low approval rating. And Piers, I have to go a little bit deeper. I have to go, this isn't about left. This isn't about right. Charlie was a proponent. He was a Christian praising Jesus Christ everywhere that he went. And I think that's where we are, Piers. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 says, for we not wrestle with flesh and blood, Piers. It's principalities, it's evil, it's dark forces in high places. And it drives me crazy, Piers, that we've gotten to this point. And when Tim Walz and these people are like, well, I woke up, I wanted to hear bad news. Hearing TMZ lying when their freaking people are back there cheering of a murder of a guy that did what, Piers? He went to college campuses. He was peaceful. He just wanted to have a debate, a conversation. And it is the left, okay? When Joe Biden got diagnosed with colon cancer, who was celebrating? How many thousands of people were out there praying and hoping for this guy to recover? Okay, no, there's something that's captured, Piers. That image, that montage that you played, did you see the eyes of these people?
Yeah.
They are captured by something dark, and they don't even know it, Piers. That's where we are. And I want to say something, Piers, before I give it back. Charlie was not murdered. He was martyred. And I want to say this in the Bible, and I'm sorry, I never was this guy, Piers, but we're at the tipping point. We are here, and we have to understand that it's God or you're on the opposite side. And Revelation chapter 6, verse 9, 10 basically says, when a martyr's blood hits the throne of heaven, it turns the vengeance of the king towards the evil ones on earth. So for all the people that want to get mad and do something, stay calm and be easy, because God, at the end of the day, Piers, has vengeance on all these people that are spilling innocent blood.
Are you really saying that the American right, the Trump right, MAGA, has not got a problem with political violence?
Are you comparing us, who, by the way,
no, I'm asking
for how many years have 10 years? Hold on. Are you comparing the two? Hold on. I'm not saying that the right doesn't get violence, but show me where they're celebrating the murder of a father on a campus. Give it to me. Who celebrate Luigi Mangione, where he's in magazines and girls want to marry him and want to be with him?
No, you just have the president of the United States' son. You just have the president of the United States' son tweeting out a picture of a hammer.
Well, this guy's a piece of shit. Fuck this guy. Like, again, Vinny's right. Like, we're not the same. It's not equal on both sides. But this guy, like, they can't just take responsibility. Anyone from the left, they can't just take responsibility because they know all the damage they've done. They know how much hateful bullshit they spewed the last 10 years, and they know that it's no match with ours. So they have to in order to cope with the horrors that they contributed to, they have to lie and gaslight and say, well, what about you guys? What about you guys? Both sides. No, it's not both sides.
and making fun of a guy who nearly got killed because of a right-wing maniac. Please do not tell me that somehow one side is more morally superior than the other. This is not. And just while we're talking about, excuse me, sir, while we're talking about political violence, what about January the 6th? What about January the 6th?
Of course,
mob decided to try to use violence.
That's always their go-to. January 6th. That's their go-to. That's always their go-to. They're big. What about January 6th? I think the proof is in the pudding here. How come when a black man dies or something, like at the hands of a cop or what have you, businesses have to start boarding up their freaking their businesses, right? They have to start boarding up their businesses because they know there might be riots here. You know they are. But then Charlie Kirk is murdered in cold blood, and we're all angry about it, and yet not a single business has had to board up their freaking their windows. How come that is? The proof is right there in the pudding. It's not us. We are not the same.
Overthrow democracy.
That is the definition of the legitimization of violence in the political process. How many people, excuse me, since you're such an American historian, how many people died on January 6th?
Know what happened on January
Ashley Babbitt, a fellow United States Air Force, excuse me, let me finish. A United States Air Force veteran got shot subsequently in her freaking neck. Why? Hold on. Why? Because she was unarmed and she was advancing to a hall. Please, I'm 100% with you. I don't condone any violence, but the comparison is not even close to what the left does.
So let's have some statistics from your own government. Let's have some statistics from your own government. These are your own government statistics. Now, I know you might not want to listen to the facts, but this is the facts. A study from the US government itself says that the majority of political violence in the United States occurs from the right, not the left. From the right. We have also seen in my own country what happened with the assassination of a Labour MP, Joe Cox. We saw what happened in Norway with Anders Behring Breivik, all violence on the right. I do not say, as you seem to say, sir, that one side or other is morally superior to the other. I do not say that there will not be political violence on one side or the other. What seems, and I find curious, is your belief, your fervor, that somehow one side of this debate is uniquely morally repugnant and one is superior. The statistics are wrong. That's not right. Doesn't support what you're saying. And the fact after fact after fact, and occasion after occasion after occasion shows the same thing. And like I say, January the 6th itself was literally the legitimization from your side of political violence at the highest of levels. And what did Donald Trump do? When he got back into office, he pardoned them all, sending a message that political violence is fine.
So, excuse me, those statistics that he brings up, what are the metrics for those statistics? Because that's just bullshit. I don't even have to look into it to know that. No, that's not the real world. The real world isn't, oh yeah, the right is way more violent than the left. Like, that is just not true. What I've heard from the little that I've read up on the statistic is that they don't classify certain left-wing violence as domestic terrorism or whatever. Like, they just don't classify it as that. So therefore, the statistics are skewed. They threw in extra things into that is considered right-wing, and they took out things that are considered left-wing. And so, yeah, if you do that, then of course it's going to come out, look, right-wing. But we all know this is not true. Like, everyone knows it. We all see it.
Excuse me. Are you in the United States?
They're just a bunch of liars.
I just returned from the United States, as a matter of fact, but I don't need to be in the United States to know what happened in January 6th.
Are you an American citizen?
No, I don't know what that's got to do with the price of fish.
Are you an American citizen?
Nope.
No, I want to ask you a question, because you're looking down, you're reading stats and facts, and I don't know where the hell your sources are from. But guess what? As an American, from seeing what they did, excuse me, I let you talk. Please let me talk, okay? From what you mean to tell me what the left, your darling left, has done to the Republican Party and Donald Trump alone for 10 years. They're calling for violence. The Hitler, like Batya said, all the negative rhetoric, hold on, to the impeachments, to shooting him in the head, and him saying, I want peaceful protesting, and then the FBI informants, all the confidential human resources inside the freaking car on January 6th. That's a whole different argument, debate that you don't want to get into. But as an American who lives in America and is a veteran, we see what's happening. I don't care about your ChatGPT stats. The left is the party that is inciting the violence and causing the problem.
Okay, I want to bring...
Yeah, but those aren't facts. Those are skewed statistics. But they're always trying to put the blame on us no matter what, and they're skewing statistics. It would be like if an abusive husband, if the wife tried to fight back once or whatever, and let's say slap the husband in the face or hit him with the frying pan or something in self-defense, compared to all the times the husband has beat the crap out of the wife, and then you go, well, but see, look, you hit me that one time with the frying pan. See, you're just as violent as I am. It's like, no, no. There's clearly one side that's an abuser. These are spouse. They're pretty much spousal abusers. They gaslight us and lie to us, and then everything, no matter what, is our fault. If there's violence from us, well, we need to turn down the rhetoric. It's our fault. If there's violence against us, we need to turn down the rhetoric, and it's our fault. It's like, no matter what, it's just our fault. That's how you know it's bullshit. Like, either the left is just always correct 100% of the time, and we're just always wrong, which we all know that's not true, or these people are just fucking liars, gaslighters, and abusers.
End of the book is how radicalized so many on the woke left have become. And I don't for a moment dispute there are people radicalized on the right. But as somebody who used to identify quite happily as a liberal, I found myself completely disassociated from the woke left in a way I just never thought possible, where people on supposedly my side would start to become science deniers, biology deniers, but also develop this incredibly hateful mindset that if you didn't go along with everything that they believed, you would be cancelled, you'd be destroyed, you'd be shamed, you'd be vilified. And now, as we've seen with Charlie Kirk, you will actually be murdered in cold blood simply for having opinions that they don't like. It is, as I said at the start of this, it's unnerving. It's quite scary, actually. And when you see those TikTok videos of them so proudly talking about this, joyously celebrating a murder like that, I really do fear about what is going on.
Well, Piers, it's not even that it's about his actual opinions. It's about the opinions that many thought leaders on the left purport that he has, which are complete lies. So look, I am in somewhat of a reconciliatory mode here. So I'd like to ask Cenk, I have 10 headlines here he has put up about Charlie Kirk. They are on his channel right now. And let's see if Cenk believes that these are true. Charlie Kirk says prominent black women took white people's spots. Charlie Kirk boasts about his all-white basketball team. Charlie Kirk gives piggish advice to high school girls. Ex-employee exposes Charlie Kirk's grift. Charlie Kirk embarrasses himself. Charlie Kirk's brain melts explaining anti-vax conspiracy. Charlie Kirk rants about women in their 30s. Charlie Kirk has literally no clue how the real world works. Charlie Kirk gets triggered, declines appearance over pronouns. Charlie Kirk doubles down on women-hating backlash. I am telling you, Piers, Charlie Kirk was one of the best human beings I ever met. He did not have a bone of racism, misogyny, or anything else in his body. But liars lie, and they gin up otherwise good people. From the little bit we know about this shooter, he had a stable household, he was going to college, he was fine. We'll find out where he got radicalized. But please, please, let's not pretend we don't know where this stuff is coming from. And please, let's not pretend that this thing is going both ways, because it is absolutely not. I also have, well, you know what, Cenk, I'll ask you a question directly, actually. Do you think Charlie wanted to be martyred? Do you think Charlie wanted to be martyred? Do you think Charlie wanted to be killed? Yes or no?
Of course not. What kind of asinine question is that?
You don't? Because that's pretty interesting. Because here's a video of you, Cenk, talking when Charlie was at a breakfast.
For these guys, and they don't deserve it. But I do also want to point out, as they're in the middle of crying now, although Charlie was smiling ear to ear throughout the entire video, thinking, yes, I'm now the victim, and I'll get to claim that my rights have been abridged.
Did you catch the beginning of that, Cenk? Listen, we'll do it again.
No, I didn't, and that's totally out of. No, we're not going to do it again. And totally out of context. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
No. Listen.
Dude, I love it. See, I'm glad that Cenk Uygur and even Anna yesterday with Andrew Wilson, the Young Turks, see, they're trying to play it off like, oh, no, listen, we're not like these crazy lefties. We're more toward the center. And, you know, maybe they have moved more toward the center on certain things. But the bottom line is that they've contributed just as much to this rhetoric as everybody else. And they have not apologized for it whatsoever. So if they want me to believe that they've changed and they're changed people, they need to apologize. They need to acknowledge the wrong that they've done by spreading this rhetoric, by contributing, by calling Trump a fascist and all these things. And then they can move on from there. But no, the fact of the matter is that they're not going to. And so I'm not going to take them seriously, and I'm not going to praise Cenk or even Anna when they come out and they say like, "Oh, look, we need to tone down we denounce the violence." It's like, okay, great, I believe that you denounce the violence, but any responsibility on your guys' parts for all the violent rhetoric that you spewed?
Listen, brother.
Are you trying to get
listen
harm
for
on
1
me?
second.
Is that what you're trying to do,
Clown.
you loser?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No. I'm trying
I was going to do conciliation,
exactly
except
what
this
people
guy.
like you
Look at the
have
last
done.
two things that your last two guests said.
Piers.
Jesus,
No,
man.
what they
You
said
guys are
was, yes,
unbearable.
we should have reconciliation, but it is not without any contrition, right? It's not without a mea culpa. Charlie was accosted by Antifa at a breakfast in Philadelphia, and the video that I just played is you with a cartoon of him as Charlie Brown saying that he would love to be martyred so he could be the victim. Well, I guarantee you, his wife, who now doesn't have a husband, and his kids who don't have fathers, did not want him to be martyred.
What you just played isn't what
It's exactly what you said, brother.
It's
exactly
what you just said
what
it was.
Let's do it again.
No, it isn't.
Let's do it again.
We just heard it.
It's not.
All right, so
It's not.
no,
Let's do it again.
Cut this crap out.
Come on,
No,
we'll do it again.
Piers, can we talk about reality? This
Do it
is
again,
something he's
Dave.
going
Do it
back
again.
like 10
Well,
years.
I think Cenk should be allowed to respond.
Perverting what I said there.
And they don't deserve
It allows for easy martyrdom for these guys, and they don't deserve it. That was when Antifa was going after him at a breakfast in
Okay, so
Philadelphia.
let's let Cenk respond to that.
No, that was about words, you moron. Okay, Jesus Christ, man. All right, so
No, that was about Antifa going after them when they were out at a breakfast or whatever it was. That's what it was. And as we all know, Antifa, they're all about using words, right? Antifa, they're all about using words. No, they're not violent whatsoever. No.
so
Easy
now let's get to
martyrdom.
reality, okay? Shut up. Let's get to reality, okay? So your last two guests, while pretending to be conciliatory, one of them started talking about me and started talking about blood on their hands. And then this idiot brings out a clip from 10 years ago that's about words and is pretending it has to do with violence. No show in America has called for nonviolence more than the Young Turks has. Oh, hey, can I talk? After being accused of terrible things that I didn't come within a million miles of doing. Who did Charlie invite to have these conversations? Me. Why did he invite me if I'm so bad when it comes to these issues? No, it's because Charlie and I understood that we could vehemently disagree. We could, David, let me speak. So we understood that we could have vehement disagreement, and we often did. And look, guys, but without it
Jake,
getting
are you going to delete any of those videos? Are you going to delete any of those videos accusing him of being a white supremacist?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because Dave, what you're doing is, Dave, will you let me talk?
Do you think he was a white supremacist?
Piers,
was Charlie a white supremacist?
No,
Was
listen to me. Listen to me. Well, if you're not going to let me answer, what the hell's the point of this? Okay, listen.
Well, you won't
delete them. Do I still disagree with the things that Charlie said? Of course I do. I'm not changing my opinion on that. And all the titles that you just read were very normal political disagreements. In none of the titles were there call for violence, because there never is on the Young Turks. And I abhor what happened to Charlie. I met his wife. This is a human being. Look, guys, there's two things that I propose. You guys can go back and forth.
Do those headlines imply that Charlie's a racist or a misogynist? Yes or no?
No, now I talk. Now I talk.
Oh, they don't?
Enough with the accusing and then not letting me talk, okay? So listen, this whole idea, both sides are blind. And Piers, you know this better than anyone. I call out Biden and I say, "Our Democrats, are you crazy? He's obviously old. He's obviously lost his faculties," right? And now this absurdity about how the right are all angels. Are we kidding? You guys didn't see January 6th? You didn't see them attacking cops, raiding the Capitol, chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." But that leads to my point, not that the right is more guilty. And I'm sickened by the trend that has now appeared on the left of violence. I'm sickened by it. So I'm proposing two things, guys. Well, no way should we ever shut down speech. No way. Not right-wing speech, not left-wing speech. You don't shut it down with the government, and you don't shut it down with violence. So first thing is easy. The second one is hard. The first one is on all of our shows, as we do every day, call for nonviolence. The minute you see someone saying something violent, say, "Don't do that." That is unacceptable. That is not who we are on the left. That is not who we are on the right. That is not who we are as Americans. You can say anything you want. For example, did Charlie say things that were anti-Muslim? He did. Did I still talk to him? Yes. And I got heat for that. But guys, we're never going to convince each other if we never talk to one another. And now if we start killing each other, it's madness. There's nothing wrong with disagreement, but there's something terribly wrong with violence and shutting down conversations. And then the hard one.
Piers, I just think
the left
and
it's
the
fairly
right.
Obvious there is no such thing. Hold on, last thing. We're not ready There's no such thing as the left or the right. There is only, there are people that are a giant range. And we explain this on the Young Turks all the time about the right wing, which is, guys, are they radical right? There are, right? But are they the entirety of all of the Trump voters? Of course not. There's so many good Americans who voted for Trump, who, by the way, some of them voted for Obama before, some of them voted for Bernie before. Same thing on the left. This guy's a lunatic. Are there extreme left-wingers? By the way, the clip that you showed, Piers, no prominent Democrat or left-wingers on there, but that clip sickened me. It sickened me. So
okay, but Cenk,
elements in the left now,
hang on.
I'll never forget when Anna Kasparian on the Young Turks ran off and was telling women who voted for Donald Trump that she's better than them. That's how she felt about women who'd voted for Donald Trump, that she is freaking better than you. That's what she said. I am fucking better than you. And so, yeah, listen, they might have this little change of tune here, but no, at one point they were just as hard, even just right before the election. You know, I covered a lot of these videos on my channel here, like almost a year ago now. Cenk going off, ranting and raving, calling Donald Trump a fascist, a racist, a threat to our democracy. That's one of the things that Cenk was known for, of him losing his mind and going off on Donald Trump with this Trump derangement syndrome. So no, like you can't, and you could be like, well, I was talking about Trump, not the voters. Yeah, but listen, if you're calling Donald Trump pretty much a threat to democracy, a fascist, and all these things, well, then what does that mean for the voters then, huh? If then that means that we're voting for a fascist, a threat to democracy, the racist, the criminal, the rapist, all of these things. So we're just as bad in your point of view.
Hang on. But hang on. You mentioned that. And in fact, there are clips, though, of high-profile people saying that stuff. Matthew Dowd got fired by MSNBC within minutes, literally, of saying this on the night that Charlie got killed.
Talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
In other words,
see, that was someone on MSNBC. That wasn't on some kind of fringe website or anything. That was on MSNBC. First of all, what a remarkable slur that guy is. What an R slur with his whole, maybe it was someone's gun that went off while they were subbing. Like, what a bunch of yahoos at the college campus. Yeehaw! Oh, whoops, I accidentally shot Charlie. Like, what a freaking idiot. Like, who comes up with that theory? We're all, yeehaw, Charlie Kirk. And then we I'm so glad that guy got fired. But like I tried telling all these people, like, we're drowned in this propaganda. Like, for the right-wing stuff, we have to go and find it, But left-wing propaganda, it's everywhere you look. It's in the schools, it's entertainment, it's everywhere. You can't escape it. So, of course, you're going to end up brainwashing a shitload of people.
Action of gun violence. There's a big debate about it. It's well known that when I was at CNN, got into many debates about this. I got into debates with Charlie about guns. In fact, he tweeted something which, now you look at it and you sort of wince when you read that. Hey, Piers Morgan, I thought guns don't save lives. And actually, he was talking about an Uber driver who'd had a concealed carry weapon, which saved his life. So Charlie and I debated guns. We came at it from different perspectives. And I respected that. And he did. And he then came on my show to talk about other things. So we didn't let that mean we couldn't debate things. Where are we with guns in America? I sort of felt I learned the lesson when I was debating with the NRA and so on. This is an American problem that can only be resolved by Americans. It's not a UK problem. And actually, we used to all have guns in Britain, and we gave them all up. So we don't have a gun violence problem here. Certainly nothing that could be compared to the United States. But
yeah, good job, guys. You guys don't have a gun problem. Yeah, you guys have a knife problem now. You guys have a migrant problem now, and Muslim Muslim grape gangs. Yeah, you guys have that, but well, good thing you guys don't have guns. Good for you guys.
You know, there's always this is not the right time to discuss it, but people are discussing it. What do you feel about the guns debate in this?
Oh gosh, I feel like it's so irrelevant. I mean, one side of the political aisle in America is heavily armed, and it's the other side that commits the vast majority of political violence. You know, there's a tacit admission from the left that their side is the violent side, because if somebody, God forbid, if a big left-wing influencer, God forbid, was killed, what they would be doing immediately is boarding up every single major city in America, because there would be rioting and looting. People would die. We know that tens, if not hundreds of people died during the BLM riots. And obviously, none of that has happened, and none of that is expected to happen, despite the fact that the right, whose avatar was just murdered in cold blood, is heavily armed, right? So there is this tacit understanding from the left, even as they call the right the source of all the political violence, and fascists and Nazis and what have you, that actually the right will not pick up their arms and turn on their leftist neighbors, right? They rely on the forbearance of their conservative neighbors, who are much more heavily armed, not to actually take revenge. And we all know that this is happening. They just won't admit it. It is so amazing to sit here and have people bring up case after case after case that has been like thoroughly debunked. You know, just because Josh Shapiro is a Democrat doesn't mean the person who tried to assassinate him was a Republican. That guy did it, he said, because Josh Shapiro is killing his Palestinian friends, okay? And we have cases like that again and again. They have to keep going back to January 6th, which, as Vince pointed out, no one was killed except Ashley Babbitt, who was one of the protesters, to compare a meme posted of a Halloween costume to people actually saying the things that murderers then use to justify their killing. Like the guy who killed that couple outside the Jewish Museum in DC, or like this killer who killed Charlie, saying the exact same things you hear from the most prominent Democrats is facetious. It is facetious to compare an actual justification for murder that turns into murder with a photo that gets posted. And this is why conservatives are so frustrated, because they know that even as the left is demonizing them, the left is tacitly acknowledging that they're not actually in danger from their conservative neighbors.
But Lewis, I know you've got to go. Vinny's had to go as well, sadly. Lewis, you've got to go soon. Just final words from you. Have you been influenced at all by anything you've heard tonight?
I sort of feel, and maybe we all are, maybe this is the problem, Piers, as if I'm living in a different world here. A world where the only invective that we ever hear, the only
members get those F slurs emojis ready.
Only hostile language, the only violent language, and indeed call to arms, come from one side of the political debate. I would just go back to this point. US government figures show that a majority of political violence, politically related violent incidents actually come from the right, not the left. Now, I'm not sat here saying that there isn't a problem on the left. I've been the first one, quite literally, to say that. But by definition, if there are politically inspired violent incidents on the right, then what is causing those? Are they all just nutters? Are they all just mad? Or how can it be that the left-wing ones are the ones who are inspired by language? Something must be happening and causing the right-wing violence. And so by definition, presumably, that must be something that is happening in terms of the language of the other side. No, and just let me finish. And just, I mean, I think we heard from Kristen earlier as well, when he said, the left have imbibed this idea that to get what you want, you are able and should be able to use violence. I mean, come on. Yeah, go back to January the 6th, because MAGA at that moment quite literally decided to use violence to overturn an election result. And let's just talk about violent language as well for a second here. From the very, very top,
Fight
Donald
like
Trump,
hell.
Fight like hell.
Knew
If
it,
you don't
knew
fight
it.
like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Rudy Giuliani.
They're so predictable. I freaking knew it. I was like, oh, how long until Fight Like Hell comes out? And I freaking, they're so predictable. They're so predictable with their narratives. Yeah. Who died because Donald Trump said fight like hell? Who died? Who did we go out and kill because Donald Trump said fight like hell? Zero.
Let's have trial by combat. Republican Representative Mo Brooks, today is the day American patriots start down taking names and kicking ass. On the Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot, instead of condemning it, didn't condemn it. What did Trump do? He said, maybe it was a problem, maybe it wasn't. She locked down her state. Even on Mitch McConnell, his own Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, on Truth Social, Trump said McConnell had a death wish for supporting bipartisan legislation. If that's not legitimizing violence, then I don't know what it is.
Well, you don't know what it is.
To that.
I have to agree with Lewis. He is living in a different reality, one that has no connection to actual reality.
But what's wrong?
What are you talking
what's
about?
Incorrect about what I've just said.
You're
Constantine?
comparing somebody saying "fight like hell" in the context of a political campaign,
In the context of a
with
lie
what
where
I
you tried to
explained
overturn a
earlier.
democratic
Lewis,
election.
can I
That's the
speak now?
definition of
Are you
far-right
capable
behavior.
of listening to an alternative point of view, or
I'm
do you have to
incapable of
shout down?
listening to
Well, shut
nonsense.
up then. Shut up and listen if you're capable of it. Now.
Now, I don't watch much of Konstantin Kissin, but if even he's yelling people to shut up, that's pretty big, you know? Like, I've never seen him tell someone just to shut up before. Maybe he has, but I haven't seen it. He's always come off as just a really, how do you say, like a chill person, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to keep his composure. But even he's sick of their bullshit.
You can't compare somebody saying fight like hell in the context of a political campaign with what I explained earlier, which is when you call people Nazis.
The campaign was over.
Shut up and listen to an alternative opinion. Why is it that you people have a complete inability to listen to opinions that you don't like? Why can't you just sit there and actually hear what I'm saying?
I'm waiting.
You can't oh my God. You can't compare somebody saying fight like hell with somebody explaining that the country is an imminent threat of a fascist takeover, because an imminent threat of a fascist takeover is something that would actually legitimize you picking up a rifle and heading to the front line. So when you and Cenk and people like that call people you don't like far right, hard right, Nazis, and fascists, you are creating an environment in which some crazy people, yes, of course they're crazy, will feel that they're entitled to use violence to prevent the fake fascist takeover you keep banging on about. And there is no equivalence between these things. I disagree, by the way. You know, Cenk is entitled to criticize Charlie Kirk and his positions on the show. That's absolutely fine. But when you label and smear people as fascists and Nazis, that is taking it to an entirely different level. And that is where I hope there would be some self-reflection. But I'm not seeing any on this panel tonight,
Nope.
I'm afraid.
No, and it's interesting. You know, I remember the Madison Square Garden rally just before the election. And I went to that because I'd never been to any political rally for anyone. But Trump said, why don't you come down? I went down. And I was really struck by the fact that it was being branded by the left, from Hillary Clinton to MSNBC and others, as a neo-Nazi rally. They compared it to one in the 30s at the Madison Square Garden, which was indeed a neo-Nazi rally. And I thought then it was incredibly dangerous, but also incredibly stupid. There were many Jewish people in the audience. There was a Holocaust survivor, a prominent one, in the audience. Donald Trump, his son-in-law is Jewish. His daughter converted to Judaism. The idea that he is the new Adolf Hitler has always been utterly preposterous. But to take your point, Konstantin, I completely agree. If you are telling people all the time that Trump is Hitler and his followers are Nazis or fascists, then it makes absolute logical sense to a warped mind that they should be stopped, and that the only way to stop fascists and Nazis is with violence. And actually,
Yep. Piers is 100% correct. And like I said, they've been doing it for the last 10 years. It's not just a recent phenomenon. They've had 10 years of brainwashing. And again, 10 years of brainwashing, not just from one source, not just from, you know, hardcore left-leaning websites. It's from the mainstream media, the news, the schools. It's from everywhere. So of course, it's going to, some person's going to take it seriously and feel, well, I got to do something. I got to save our democracy. There's such a threat. So I'm going to fast forward to this last bit where it's Dave Rubin and Cenk. It looks like they're going at it once again. Here we go.
I thought he summed it up well there. There's a massive loss here on a human level. of a very bright, successful young man who, like you said, he didn't smoke, he didn't take drugs, he didn't, he wasn't a party guy. He was committed to his beliefs, and he was committed to, spreading the word of his beliefs, but also allowing people to debate with him about those beliefs. That's what a democratic society should be about. And yet here he is now, dead at 31, because somebody was incapable of listening to his beliefs without wanting to kill him.
Yeah, Piers, look, this is a guy, I don't talk about it that often. I happen to be gay. It's not a big deal. I've been married for over 10 years. And I've sat with Charlie and my husband and his wife and talked about marriage and talk about the differences there and all of those things. And we talked it out. That's what Charlie was great at. I do have to say, though, on the political side of this, for where this conversation has got heated, it seems to me that everyone agrees that Donald Trump is not Hitler and his supporters are not Nazis. So with that in mind, I'd like to read some other headlines. These are video titles from Cenk's channel.
Yes.
And if, in the spirit of reconciliation, maybe he wants to delete these things. Trump cuts anti-Nazi program. Trump spreading Nazi propaganda. Nazis encouraged by Trump's Charlottesville response. Trump defends Nazis, very fine people. That is the biggest political hoax ever.
Yeah.
Trump retweets a neo-Nazi again. Trump disappoints neo-Nazi supporters. So these things don't come out of nowhere. I only blame one person at the end of the day for these murders, which is the crazy person who does the murders. But pretending that what is wildly asymmetrical, I think I have laid that out with evidence here, pretending that it's symmetrical is deeply, deeply dangerous. Piers, you know this because we've discussed it on my show. Even on your show, you have found it way more difficult to find rational, decent people on the left who will explain themselves thoughtfully and calmly and everything else, while the panoply of people you get on the right who shouldn't even be on the right, I would say certainly someone like me, I don't know exactly where Batya considers herself, but people with a variance of political opinions that now broadly are part of the MAGA thing is because of what I just read you, the endless hysteria of the left that has ginned up people to do crazy things. It's not to say you can't say the worst things. You want to say the worst things, Donald Trump's a Nazi. It's so tough to say. You want to say that, go ahead and say it. It falls on the person who pulls the trigger. But if we're all sitting here saying, yeah, it's not true that Donald Trump's a Nazi and it's not true that his supporters are Nazis and he's not Hitler and all of those things, well, then before you get to reconciliation, a little bit of a mea culpa by some of us might be valuable.
Cenk?
Yeah. No, exactly. 100% correct. And, Dave brings up an interesting point, like about how if Donald Trump is so hateful, right? He's so hateful. He preaches hate and has a bunch of hateful rhetoric. How come there's all sorts of people that support him? If we were just all white nationalists, and how come there's many people, different sexualities, different races, different religions who support Donald Trump? Why is that if he was such a hateful person? Yeah, you have Batya and Dave right here, who maybe wouldn't support Republican or right wingers normally, but the left has gotten so bad that they've chased a lot of people out of their own party. And then there's RFK, there's Tulsi Gabbard, a whole bunch of people out there that have left the left. And why is that if Donald Trump is so hateful?
Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is disgusting. So this guy pretending to do conciliation, and I was going to be conciliatory towards Dave if I spoke first, but apparently that's not what he's doing at all. So what he's trying to do is get people angry in a misleading way against me. Are you trying to
Are
get
those
people
your
to be
titles?
violent?
Are those the titles
this
of your
is
videos?
disgusting.
No.
So no.
that's-
Let me explain.
no.
Let me explain.
Those are your titles.
No, let
buddy.
me explain. You're asking me a goddamn question, so let me explain while you're trying to get people to do violence against
illustrating my
me.
point
You're
perfectly.
disgusting. So
No,
those are 80% of those
I just
titles. I've never called Trump a Nazi, and those titles were
What?
about neo-Nazi reactions. So what do you want us to do? Not tell
So
you
very fine
what's
people.
actually
Did that
happening?
happen?
And
Did
so look,
did Donald Trump side with neo-Nazis?
Yes, he
the
did
very
say
fine
that.
people incident
So-
in Charlottesville?
Oh my God, what a jackass. What a jackass. See, I'm not spreading lies. Oh, okay. Well, then did he say that there were fine people? Yes, he did. See, Cenk is TDS. He's out of his mind. And it's people that think like Cenk is why we're in the situation to begin with. It's hard to be like, hey, So obviously he's not going to take responsibility for his actions because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. Like not so erudite said in that video, all he's doing is just pointing out terrible things Donald Trump has done. So what am I supposed to do? Not just tell the truth? No. How about the fact that you're not reporting the truth? That's what's happening. You are not reporting the truth. You are spreading lies, and you are either knowingly pretending, or maybe you really think that he did all these awful things.
He did it. Piers, how about you handle this one instead of giving it to me? Piers,
Can I just talk? So this monster is trying to egg on violence.
What did Donald Trump say after very
and he won't even let me talk?
I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists who should be condemned completely. It's the biggest debunked conspiracy theory of all time. You're still pushing that now? You're still pushing the very fine people hoax now? I'm shocked even for you.
Dave, no. Dave, shut up and let me answer your stupid question. So on that day, which now we're going back to that for no goddamn reason other than you're trying to get people angry at me for misleading things.
I'm reading your titles. You should be angry at your titler.
He did. Shut up and let me answer. So did he say there are very fine people on both sides? He did. So that's a fact. Now, who was he referring to? As we've explained on the Young Turks, he might have been referring to the people who were in favor of the Confederacy and came out there to support Confederate generals. I didn't find that to be any better. Those people were in favor of slavery. Those people lynched black people. So I'm not going to ever cheerlead for them, and I'm not ever going to shut
Jake,
up
in the very next sentence, in the very next.
So, okay, so first of all, so by Cenk's logic then, Cenk is for this because he identifies, well, I don't know, maybe he's like, I'm independent, but he's definitely voted Democrat. He's voted for the party that he's voted for the party that was all for that stuff. Wasn't the Confederacy, weren't those the Democrats? So that's the party that Cenk has voted for. And even then, he's still spreading this lie right here as we speak. He's still spreading this lie that anyone that didn't want to see those statues torn down, oh, it's because they support the Confederacy, and it's because, well, they support the Confederacy because, well, they were lynching black people and stuff like that. It's like, no, people just didn't want our statues, our history being torn down. That's what it was. And those were the fine people Donald Trump was talking about, the people that were there to protest our history being torn down. That's who Donald Trump was talking about. But Cenk Uygur still, to this day, right here, still perpetrating the lie that the people who were resisting statues being torn down, they were all Confederacy sympathizers.
Sentence, did he say, I'm not talking about the white supremacists
so
or
you're
the
not going to get me
neo-Nazis
to
who should
shut
be
up,
condemned totally.
and you are against speech, and you're the one trying to smear people. So let me be super clear, and let me outrage everyone on all sides, and then try to bring people together. You've already talked. So now, look, if you're on the left, I'm going to say something that's going to piss you off. So Charlie said things that were against Muslims. I'm from a Muslim background. Laura Loomer has said tons of things against Muslims. Ben Shapiro has, etc. So
like what?
What? We fight back with words. Now, Dave is trying to say, don't fight back with words. Don't fight back at all. The left should unilaterally surrender.
No.
Hell no.
That is
but you fight back with words. You don't fight back with violence. That's insane. That's insane. Shut up. Now,
did I say Cenk is blamed for this? I said the shooter is blamed for this.
Shut up. You guys are pretending that Trump doesn't have authoritarian tendencies when the man wouldn't get out of office in 2020. When he did. My God, his chief of staff came in and told him that they were threatening to murder his vice president. And according to not me, but Trump staffers, he said that he didn't mind, that Pence deserved it. He's a guy who's super vitriolic and continues to violate due process. I've never called him a Nazi, but if you just say, hey, don't call him a fascist, just call him authoritarian, fine. But I'm going to call him something because he keeps.
And so again, the lie that Donald Trump is like what uniquely, he has uniquely authoritarian tendencies. So they try to make it out like Donald Trump is like this authoritarian, a fascist, and all these things. But any example they bring up, we could point that Democrats have done as well. Donald Trump's not doing anything that's unique to him. These are things that Democrats have done as well, but they only focus on Donald Trump. They single out Donald Trump and treat it like, no, Donald Trump, Orange Man bad. He's especially bad. Hitler 2.0. And that's what's led up to this violence, Cenk. And he's participating in it. He's justifying it right now as we speak.
Doing authoritarian things. Okay. So now, finally, to the part that brings us together. Guys, this entire conversation's framing is wrong. It's not the left versus the right. 98% of the people on the right and the left are not at all violent and hate the videos that you showed and hate the idea of not leaving after you lose an election, et cetera, et cetera. Hate what happened to Paul Pelosi, hate what happened to Charlie Kirk. We should all be united against the extremes, extreme right and extreme left. It should be the middle against the extremes instead of having the extremes have all of us fight one another and pretend that the most extreme elements on the left represent the left, the most extreme elements on the right represent the right. And on the Young Turks, we're saying that is not the case. The great majority of Americans are good, decent people. And under no circumstances, no matter what our opinions are, and no matter how angry you are about those opinions, should we ever do violence? Or should we ever think of the other side as evil or devils or any of that nonsense talk? So
Just
do not
Nazis,
do authoritarian
just a lot of
things,
Nazis, according
and
to your titles.
And you
Okay.
certainly shouldn't do it on the left either.
Okay,
Hey, listen,
now-
you're talking about that. Honestly, I get death threats all the time. You know the number one group that I get death threats from? Pro-Israel people. They feel entitled to violence.
Yeah, of course.
They're
Right.
constantly
Everything's
threatening to
about the
kill me
Jews with
and my
Cenk.
Yeah.
co-hosts.
Everything's about
Well,
the
I
Jews
can
with
be
Cenk.
you.
Here we
I can
go
be
again.
you,
Here we
Cenk,
go.
'cause
Yeah, Cenk, of course, because he, along with TDS, he also has Israel derangement syndrome. Both him and Anna Kasparian, they're both like terrible people, pretty much. Like they're always like their longest time, their rhetoric was spreading lies about the right and making villainizing the right, making the right seem horrible. Now they calmed down on that. However, now they're doing it to Israel. Now they're how do you say, like super against Israel, where even Anna Kasparian is going up on the Young Turks, spreading conspiracy theories about Israel that have already been debunked already, like that, all because they're super anti-Israel. So they haven't changed, they haven't learned any lessons, they just move their focus onto something else. They stopped spreading so much lies about this group, and now they're spreading lies about another group of people. That's what I've come to the conclusion on with both Cenk and Anna at the Young Turks. They're just kind of terrible people who will never stop spreading lies. Their targets just change. That's about it. And Cenk Uygur here, again, I'm not buying him or Anna just like, oh, like we want to condemn the violence. Like, again, you want to condemn the violence. Well, how about apologizing first? But they won't. They're not going to apologize. Therefore, I'm not going to take them seriously. And to top it off, too, Cenk Uygur has talked about how he's gotten, whenever he's like spoken out against the left, or he's gone on right-wing shows or talked to Charlie Kirk or all these things, he's gotten pushback from the left. That right there pretty much proves our point. That the right, we're for free speech and stuff like that. The left are not, and the left are way more threatening than they are against Cenk Uygur. Both Anna and Cenk themselves could attest to that, about how much hate mail or threats that they get, even from people on their own staff. Anna has talked about people on her own staff that didn't like her because she spoke out against the left. That should tell them everything. But instead, they don't want to sit here and say, well, the left is pretty violent, it's mostly the left. No, they're still going to push the lie that it's both sides. So, you know what? Good on Dave Rubin here. Good on everyone that pushed back against Cenk, and then that other freaking dude, that other asshole that was on earlier. Complete POSs. But what did you guys think about this? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you really enjoyed this. If you want to see more Cenk having meltdowns, I have a whole playlist for you. I have a whole bunch of Piers Morgan as well, for you on the screen for you to click on and enjoy.